everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at BB Dev Days. You are here for Advanced List Management with Sky API Google Sheets integrations. Just a quick housekeeping piece here before we get you can download the slides on the Docs tab, which is over on the right-hand side. This is probably the most important, is use the Q&A to submit questions. Chat is for group conversations or for questions. Probably chat, it might be the easiest in this type of scenario that we're in. And then messages can be used to direct message participants within the group. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Nick and Todd to get us started today.
Awesome, thanks. And Todd, you'll screen share for us?
Sure, if I figure out how to do that. I thought I was screen sharing. Oh, there it is.
Here we go. 1 second. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I'll start with introducing myself. So my name is Nick Marchese. I'm the Director of Academic and Strategic Tech at the Emma Willard School in Troy, New York. And also the founder of Collar City Consulting, focused on Blackbaud integrations and Sky API. I'll let Todd introduce himself and then we'll kind of dive right in.
Okay, I'm getting our slideshow ready. Sorry, I was just a minute behind. Okay, here it comes. I'm Todd Payton and I'm from St. Albans School in Washington, D.C. and I'm the database manager. And here it comes. There we go. Okay. I think I got it. Can you see
Awesome.
the?
Yep. You want to just go to the next slide?
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, there we are.
Awesome. So Todd, you want to go over the agenda and then I'll just do my stuff?
Yeah, so Nick's going to do a brief introduction of Sky API integration with Blackbaud Education Management and Google Sheets, and talk a little bit about the background. I'm going to talk a little about my background, and then I'm going to give some brief proof of concepts of ways in which you can use it, including admissions, athletics, attendance, events, grades, major assignments, and some other solutions as well.
Thanks, Todd. So I'm here to just share a little bit of background. If anybody's gone to my sessions the last 2 years, hopefully this will feel like old news, but if you're brand new, I want to go ahead and make sure everybody's on the same page. So over the last few years, I've developed a little script and add-on, commonly known as the Breaking into Blackbaud script that is using Sky API and education management to sync and pull and sync advanced lists directly into Google Sheets. So that way you can automatically pull those out in an automated process, and being able to do many fun things with that information. Todd will kind of show off some examples there. If you go to the next slide for me, Todd. So a little bit about, I'm going to make you click through this, I'm sorry. While I go through the hassle of setting something like this up. So without the Sky API, typically what you're doing is you're running those lists and you're manually pulling that data out, and it's only going to be up to date as just the last pull. You're going to need somebody to actively go and do it themselves. You need a person to go and pull that data. So you often end up with these like many copies of the same Excel files with different names. These are different ones that I've seen before, and it's always fun, right? Trying to figure out, is final the real one, or is the official the real one, or is it official too? Always a fun thing, always a fun game to play. But when you integrate Sky API, you can make sure that your data is always up to date, so that way you can go ahead and not have to worry about pulling that information out. We're going to go ahead and skip through this, right? So you made a change recently. It's final. Thanks, Megan. It's automatically pulled out, so you don't need somebody to go ahead and do that. you can go ahead and go on more vacations because you don't need somebody who's doing that. You don't have a reliance on an end user's computer, right? This is cloud-based. It's running in the background. So again, you got more vacations. And the last piece is no more copies of those duplicate files. So you have all those Excel files. So all of a sudden now you have all this extra hard drive space that you can go ahead and do so much more with. Okay, and then the last piece here, just to level set on the last slide, is so just some features that are built into that existing solution. The ability to sync any advanced lists that you have access to into a sheet, creating tabs for those advanced lists, syncing that data every hour by default, but you can change that based off of your needs or quotas. Syncing the data again into a sheet, an ability to share that list data out to other sheets for delegated access. This is an important one that I'm not sure if Todd will reiterate on, but obviously with great power comes great responsibility when it comes to the data that you have. So being able to not give somebody else who isn't privileged enough to have the keys to the kingdom, but being able to have one central place and then delegate that out by import ranging into other spreadsheets. And for users, this is a no coding required sort of a thing, because this is all built into a little add-on within Google Sheets. And again, this is all made possible by the Sky API endpoints that we're going to be talking a little bit about. And Todd's going to share all of the great ways he's used this in his school and some really fun, interesting, different combinations.
Okay, so just a kind of a background. I met Nick, I think 2 summers ago. He had sent out an email and said if anybody's interested in, giving this a try. And so I may have been one of the first people that responded to him because I was really excited. And so he helped me set up my original Sky API connection between Blackbaud and Education Management and Google Sheets. And then it's kind of blossomed a little bit, as you'll see. Okay, so I'm going to show you some my proof of concept and briefly show you many different ways that you can use advanced lists and Sky API integration with Google Sheets. Okay, but I do have a disclaimer. I actually have 2. The first one is I have very limited Google Script ability, and anything you see with Google Script comes from Nick's Google Sheet, or I've used Open API and just asked it for help because I can't do it. Okay, and the second piece is St. Albans does not currently pay for any extra API calls from Blackbaud or Google. You can actually do this. So you can actually set it up so you can do more API calls, but I think you have to pay more either with Blackbaud or with Google in order to do that. But St. Albans School doesn't pay for any of these solutions. So if you think this looks really expensive or you think there's cost, we incur no cost, so you can do it without the cost. Okay, so where this all began was with admissions, and there were 2 pieces to this. The first one was enrollment data. When we would start the enrollment process, I would get daily emails asking me how many applications did we get completed? How many contracts did we get completed today? What grades were those contracts in? Were those, how many boys do we have complete contracts? And it was just a lot. So I had to send out these email updates of what our enrollment was by grade level. So I needed to come up with a way in which to provide that information to them and save myself all that time of not having to send those emails. And the second issue was with Dazzle, index, and BIS reporting. I don't know if y'all have to do that, but at my current institution, at the previous institution, it was just this really big stressor when August, September rolls around, and that October due date of having to have these completed. Who's going to do it? Who just left that used to do it? Where are these numbers coming from? So what I did, and I actually did this through the ON API. What I did originally was I linked this from ON API to a Google Sheet. this is showing admissions re-enrolling data, but it could also show it has a secondary tab for enrolling data for new students as well.
Todd, just to interrupt you, sorry, we're currently seeing the admission.
Oh, sorry. Good catch.
You're good.
Sorry about
Yep.
that. Okay.
You're good.
Thank
I figured
Nick.
you might want to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So this tab shows re-enrolling, but there's additional tab that actually shows the enrolling students as well. And what it does is it shows the students and at St. Albans School, we use form. So form C is 4th grade, form 6 is 12th grade. And this is a Google Sheet that is linked through Sky API to two advanced lists. One is a student advanced list, and one is a contract advanced list. And I can't remember the reason why I did 2. I think it was because I already had the student list, and then I just needed the contract information. But what it does is it updates every hour, and and I've shared this with the business office and with admissions. So every hour on the hour it updates as contracts are completed. It's dynamic in that it triggers hourly, and allows them to check that information when and if they want to. Now there's one piece of it that I have not figured out. On this, there's a signer acknowledgement completed. We have a signer acknowledgement form. I have not figured out how to connect a form through an advanced list into a Google Sheet, but I'm still working on that. Okay, so then the second piece of this was NAS, Dazzle, Index, and BIST reporting. So again, I had done it through ON, and ON was great until this came along. I'd never liked having to update the key, and I would always forget to do it. So with this process, there's no more updating the key. You don't ever have to update it. Your trigger is updating the data itself. So basically, oh, sorry, I didn't click the slide. Okay, so basically what this is it's a Google Sheet that is linked through Sky API into education management, and it's linked to 2 different lists. Again, it's the student list that I talked about before, and it's the same contract list. And again, the student list is because of the race and ethnicity questions. But what it's doing is it's auto-populating all of the questions. What I've done is I've put the Google Sheet so it looks like it does whenever you're filling out the report in Dazzle or in Index. That way it's easy to find those answers, and it just makes it easier. Okay, so that's the admission piece. The next part was athletics. What we ran into with athletics was that at St. Albans School, we have a lot of coaches who are not in education management. And we need to share the team rosters and emails with those coaches. And I think previously what they had been doing is maybe a Google Sheet, but it wasn't dynamic, it was static. So those rosters change frequently. Well, in order to do that, we decided, this would be a great solution because now I can make that list dynamic. So I'm going to show you kind of how we did that. The second issue we were having is at St. Albans, we require the boys to play 2 sports. So there's 3 seasons. They need to play 2 sports a year. And we were having trouble keeping track of that. So let's look at those solutions. This first one is the athletic list and roster. Oh, sorry, and I forgot. Sorry, getting used to this.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
This is the one that we created again through the Sky API integration, and it's 2 separate lists. One is a student list, and the second one is the athletic list. We put them together. So what it provides is it provides the student information. It provides what sport they're playing in each season. It also gives the parent email and the student email. So if they find that a student isn't signed up for 3 sports, they can reach out to those parents and student to see which sport they would like to play during the seasons that are missing. And I think this comes in really handy with those students that enroll over the summer because they kind of go through a different process. Now, the nice thing about this is This also has additional tabs, and it has tabs for every sport. So those tabs are then have the same information for the specific sport. So it's the sport roster with the student email and the parent emails. We then connect this Google Sheet with a separate Google Sheet for that specific coach. So for example, JV baseball, he's only going to see his JV baseball, the tab from this Google Sheet. So he's only going to see his roster. But again, because it's a dynamic connection, as changes are made in education management, within an hour, they're changed on his roster. So he has the most up-to-date roster with the emails that he needs to reach out to. And so this has been a great solution for us. Okay, so attendance is next. The issues we were having with attendance was, one of the big ones was our nurse needed to have a list of students that had missed school 3 days in a row, or 3 days within a week. And we didn't have a solution, or we couldn't come up with a solution in order to do that in education management. Another issue was the academic deans wanted to have attendance by grade level. And I use the word form, but again, St. Albans, we call it form. And the idea behind this is, by providing this information to them, they could then find out which students had, too many absences or too many tardies. And then the third piece was that the division heads wanted their attendance by division. And so let's take a look at that solution. So basically what it is it's an attendance advanced list. Now, ours is a little different because upper school at St. Albans is by class period, and lower school attendance is by day. So we actually have, this is going to be 2 advanced lists, one for upper school, one for lower school. And so I've connected them separately. And so this is what attendance by grade level looks like. And again, it's a Google Sheet that's connected to an advanced list through Sky API. What it's doing is it's pulling out attendance. I believe I've set this up using monthly attendance. And the reason why I'm using monthly attendance is because it's a large amount of data. And by dividing it into monthly advanced lists instead of a yearly advanced list, it reduces the number of API calls that I'm making and reduces the number of errors. The tabs on this at St. Albans School are thresholds are 5 tardies. So the grade level advisors and grade level dean are looking at any student that gets more than 5 tardies. And then the second threshold for tardies is 10 tardies. It provides, the attendance by the week, by the semester, last week, by the day, and our absence threshold is 10. So it also provides a list of students that have 10 absences. And then the next piece is called count. And the purpose for count is, what it does is it lists every student in that grade level. It lists how many tardies they had altogether, tardies by semester, absences. Now, it looks like we're looking at, this is upper school because you can see it says class absences. So it's keeping track of class absences. And then I had to come up with a fancy way to convert class absences into day absences. And so I did that by anytime they miss 4 classes in one day, that's how we were counting the daily absences. That was the only way I could count it or come up with a solution for it. And again, we use the coloring to anytime the threshold is hit in Google Sheets. We use the conditional formatting so that that student for tardies or for absences will turn red so that the indicator will go off. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, wow, does it send an email? No, but I'd like it to, but I haven't gotten there yet. I've attempted it. And one of the issues is that it's I think I need more Google App Script training. It has to do with the form being edited instead of changed, right? Nobody is actually making the change. It's automatically making the change. So if any of you are really good at app scripts can help me come up with the solution, I would greatly appreciate it.
And
Okay,
Todd, I just
and
want to
then
pause for 1 second because I
next
think you
piece is the attendance for the nurse, identifying students that missed 3 days in the last week. I think the issue that, if I remember correctly, I think this is where she has to make the phone call, or the assistant to the division head needs to call home to see what's going on. As you can see on this, this is also 2 advanced lists. The first advanced list is the student advanced list, and then the second one is the absent data. And then I think this one, it looks like I connected it by host ID. And if you look at the excuse comment, I definitely need to work on this one because I just noticed it has travel mixed in with the illness. So travel would not necessarily be a reason why the nurse would have to call home. So we definitely need to fix that one. And a lot of what you're going to see are works in progress because they are homemade, and they can be customized in any way, shape, or form you want.
Hey, Todd, can I just interrupt for 1
The
second?
next one we're going to talk about is
Todd,
events.
can you hear me? Oh, no.
And we're going to talk about Bulldog News and Operations Calendar. So our communications department wanted to be able to show a list of specific events and event types, and they wanted it to be reformatted in a way in which it would be presentable, in a way in which they wanted it to present it. The second part, or the second solution that we were looking for, is we had an operations calendar, but we were having a little difficulty with it because it wasn't dynamic and wasn't being used. So let's look at those 2 use cases. The first one, we'll call it Bulldog News for Communications. What this is it's an events advanced list. And what we've done is we've filtered the advanced list so that we're only getting the specific event types that they want to communicate with to parents. Now, you'll notice this isn't a Google Sheet. So what I've done is I've actually taken a Google document, and thank you, OpenAPI. OpenAPI, I searched for how to connect a Google Sheet to a Google document, and I found the script. And so I've added the script in. And so this is a Google document that's dynamically linked to a Google Sheet that's linked through Sky API to the advanced list. And along the way, I was actually able to use some of the app script, again, thank you, OpenAPI, to change the formatting to be in the exact format in which they want to then turn around and share this information with parents. This updates, I believe, every Wednesday or Thursday because they need the information on Thursday afternoon. So this is just a weekly update. And so far, this has been very successful. The only thing is every once in a while we add event types. And so we just have to, sometimes we have to adjust the advanced list event types in order to make sure we get the right event types on there. Okay, the next one is an operations calendar. So first of all, I'd like to thank Graham Getty, because Graham actually created this operations calendar. He created it in Excel using Power Query. And the way he did it is it was an event export from Education Management. And again, you had to save it in a specific place as a specific file name. Then you had to go into the Excel document with the Power Query, and you had to click refresh, and it would refresh. So it was a great process. However, sometimes, with changes in people, the process sometimes gets lost. So they couldn't remember which advanced list they needed to export. They didn't remember who was supposed to update it. But basically what this operations calendar is we have every 2 weeks, we have an operations meeting, and the operations team, I think, includes the custodial staff, the food staff, the engineering department, and security. And they have specific types of events that they're looking for that they want included on this calendar. They want it in a specific format that you're looking at because they want it actually in Excel so that they could, if they wanted to add or subtract to it. Based on the response I've gotten, they don't ever need to add or subtract to it though, because of the fact we've given them exactly what they wanted. But we've taken out the process of having to export and then to hit the refresh button. So his was actually created again in Power Query. So what I've done is I actually connected his Power Query to the Google Sheet that is linked to the advanced list so that this will update. And I also created a Google version of this as well. So there's a Google Sheet as well that's connected to Advanced List that provides the same information in the same format. It's just in Google as opposed to in Excel. And again, because his original is in Excel, there's some difficulty with the refreshing, but the Google version seems to work really well and I believe has met their needs. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is grades, specifically low grades. One of the difficulties that our academic deans were having is they were having difficulty on during grading periods identifying those students that had D+ grades or lower. And the reason being is because they needed to know which of those students were getting those report cards. They want to know what grades those classes were in, or what classes those grades were in, and they wanted to see what comments were included with those grades. And I believe what they were having to do is they were basically having to go and look to see where those grades were or to ask. Well, what we've done is through Sky API and an advanced list and a Google Sheet is we've given that to them. And so this is just one advanced list, and it's a grade advanced list. And so if you look along the bottom, I think we have 8 grading periods. So it's eight advanced list, one for each grading period. And it's a grades advanced list that's filtered so that it's just grades D+ and lower. That advanced list then through Sky API is linked to a Google Sheet. That Google Sheet is just shared with the academic dean and the division head. I believe they share it with we have a new program called the Teaching and Learning program. It's shared with them as well. There are tutoring group that provide extra support. So then they're able to see who those students are so they can reach out to them so they can provide extra support. And it provides the grade, the class, the student, and it also provides comments as well. So if there were comments, it provides it. I think we've made some other additions as well. I think we made, if I remember correctly, we added columns for those that had accommodations. So we added those accommodations as well to the Google Sheet so they can see which of those students that had low grades that were not receiving accommodations could then maybe be identified for accommodations. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one is major assignments. So we actually had, Graham Getty had actually created a major assignments calendar. The only thing is his major assignments calendar was, and let's take a look at it, it was not dynamic, it was static. And it was static because on Mondays, the upper school academic dean would have to export an advanced list, save it in a specific location, open the Power BI, refresh the Power BI, publish the Power BI, and that would happen every Monday. And I guess it was working well. However, and thank you, Graham Getty, for creating this. When I came along, or when I saw it, I realized that we could actually take this major assignments calendar and connect it to a Google Sheet, and then it would be dynamic instead of it being static, and we could update it as frequently as we wanted to. Now, what ended up happening is I have to actually update this. instead of using one advanced list for all major assignments, I had to actually use one advanced list for each month. Otherwise, there's too much data. And an explanation of what major assignments calendar is, in academics in Blackbaud, we have an assignment type called major assignment. A major assignment is anything like tests, exams, projects, and then this actually allows the teachers to be able to see in a specific month, so in April, which days these major assignments are due. It's color coded, so if this number reaches, I believe this number goes to 5, the color changes to orange, and if it goes to 10, the color changes to red. And what it is to use to prevent is it's used to prevent there being too many major assignments in a specific day. And also they can look by student to see how many major assignments a specific student has on a specific day. Again, to try to identify, well, maybe we don't need to have that many major assignments on that specific day for that specific student. Like maybe 6 is too many for one child in one day. And again, the idea behind this is if this is static and you're only updating it on Monday, you can't necessarily catch those changes during the week. Well, now the fact that it's dynamic, the academic dean can be watching a specific day and say, hey, we just hit 9. He sent out an email saying no more major assignments on a specific day because there's too many. Okay, now I know you're thinking this looks great and this is a great idea, but guess what? Our athletics department came along and said, you know, we love it, it's wonderful, but athletics is only affected by major assignments that occur after 1 p.m. And that's because after 1 p.m. is when students would need to be excused from class to go to an athletic event, a game. So athletics came along and said, okay, we want the same thing, but we just want to see after 1 p.m. So I mentioned earlier, I think I did, about a block schedule advanced list. So, oh no, I haven't mentioned it yet. Okay, it'll come up again though. I found a block schedule advanced list that shows what time classes take place. So I actually added that as a advanced list that's connected to a Google Sheet that I added to this Power BI so that we could just look at the classes, the major assignments that are occurring after 1 p.m. on these specific days in these specific months. The addition that I made, as well as I've added the sport as well. So on a specific day in May, if there was a game, you could click on that day and it would show you the students, what sport they were in and how many major assignments that they had. And again, this would be used for the athletics department to try to identify students who had a game at the same time as a major sport. So either they were going to need to be excused from the having to complete the major assignment, or I don't know. But that way they knew in advance that it was happening. Okay, now let's talk about other uses. And so those other uses include student logins, room assignments, and faculty phone list. Here's the first one. This is a faculty phone list, and I'm sorry it's a little blurry. I was trying to present it in a way in which you would understand what it was, but maybe not trying to have people calling these phone numbers if at all possible kind of thing. Nobody do that. I'm just kidding. Okay, so the idea behind this is at my previous institution, every year it was somebody's responsibility to create the phone list, and they absolutely loved it. I mean, it had to have been a ton of fun. So you've got to get the person's name, their phone extension, and their job title in there, right? And you know that those phone numbers never change, and those job descriptions never change. And the faculty and staff never changed, right? So the thing was good all year long. Well, what I did was I came up with created an advanced list in education management that listed that information. I connected it to a Google Sheet, and then I came up with, well, I didn't come up with, OpenAPI came up with AppScript that allowed me to connect the Google document to the Google Sheet and create it in the format in which the school wanted it. Basically, I copied their format to create this one. Now, one of the things I didn't think about before the fact is, if you notice, this one says 23-24. Because this is dynamic and it's going to change anytime it's changed in Blackbaud, I probably should go ahead and take the date, the year off of it. Because guess what? If somebody leaves the school, they're coming off this list because it's dynamic. If their phone number changes, it's going to automatically change. If their title description changes, it's going to automatically change. Now, I think I have this one set up so that it changes, I think, weekly, just because I didn't think it was going to change that often. But so far, it's been great. The nice thing is you can actually put it as a resource. Somebody clicks on the resource, they go to the Google document, and they can see all the data. Now, you will notice that I do have some issues with it. Again, work in progress. This bar is, the line is missing from the right side. It's cutting off some people's titles. I think it goes on to 3 pages, and I really wanted to make it 2 pages. And so it serves its purpose, and it's dynamic. So I think they were very happy with it. Okay. The next solution. This is a Google Sheet to keep track of students' logins after midnight and before 6 a.m. So one of the counselors came to me and was concerned that students were working like when they should be sleeping. And so she wanted to find out if it was happening and who it was and when it was. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So it's 2 advanced lists. One advanced list is the student information. So it's the first and last name and the grade level. The other advanced list is the login information. Now, the interesting thing about the login advanced list is you cannot filter it by time. You can only filter it by day. And yeah, it's kind of difficult. So what I did was I just took the last 7 days. So this provides the last 7 days of information. And why 7 days? It's a massive amount of information, and I think it was causing errors, and so I reduced it enough so that it wouldn't cause errors whenever I was making the API calls. But it serves its purpose, and it's dynamic. So every day, I think it updates. I think it updates every day at 6 a.m. So that way the counselor could see who was on that morning or that night when they should have been sleeping. Okay, let's do the next one. The next one is the semester room assignments. Okay, so I previously mentioned an advanced list named the academic blocks advanced list. And that's the same one that I used in order to capture the times for the athletics major assignments. And so what this is this is a list of rooms. So the rooms are along the left side. And then it lists by periods 1 through 6, and then affinity groups. And it also lists, it has different tabs for each day. What it allows is the registrar to go in and to check to see which rooms are currently being used. So as we add courses, classes, activity groups, as we're looking for space for additional, if we need extra rooms for something, she can go in and easily find it using this Google Sheet, which is connected through Sky API through an advanced list. And I don't know how she did it before then, but I know it wasn't fun, and I knew it took a really long time. But I do know that this is great for her, because she tells me every time I see her that she had to schedule 6 or 7 more classes, and she was able to quickly do it because she was able to find space using this semester room assignments. Okay, now, last but not least, something to think about is organization. How are you going to share all of these processes and solutions for all of the end users and departments in education management? So what I've done is I've created community groups in education management. So for each community group, I'm using the topics tab. And the reason why I'm using a topics tab is because each one of those solutions has a topic. And then because it's a topic, I can add the topic to whichever community group needs that specific Google Sheet, access to that specific Google Sheet. The nice thing about this is that it is linking to a Google Sheet. The Google Sheet, the security is controlled by the Google Sheet itself. So just because you can get into the community group and click on the link doesn't mean you get into the Google Sheet, because that's controlled in Google. So for some things like low grades, we have high level of security on that, because if you don't share the Google Sheet, you can't share the link. Okay. And that's the end of my part of the presentation. And so I guess time for questions.
Todd, there were a couple of questions along the way that I was trying to keep at bay. But if anybody has any questions specifically around, some of Todd's great examples, we'd love to chat about that. I think some of the things to recap and highlight was, when you're doing these things, Todd, earlier on you talked about.
I go over time.
Oh, do you hear me all right? Think you hear me? Maybe. I'm metering. Okay, thank you. Thank you, folks in the chat. So that if you're doing something and the advanced lists are very, very large when you're using Sky API, the data returns only 1,000 rows at a time. So if you have something that's 10,000 rows or 20,000 rows, it can be very energy consuming and quota consuming. So that's why Todd's great example of limiting the attendance down to a month is really, really helpful. So that's just one thing to kind of point out. But all of this is like so great. And I think, Todd, thank you for sharing all these really fantastic examples. It was just a lot of praise in the chat as you were going for all the really creative ways that not only you're taking the data out, but then you're manipulating it and making it really work for your school. So I think there's one or two question here from Bianca that I think is for you. It says, I don't know if you could see that there.
Oh, helpful. I'm in the Blackbaud Power Automate group, and I'm in the Blackbaud Power BI group. So the Power BI group definitely helped with the Power BI for major assignments and for athletics. So I was able to do that because of that group. So I have found both of those very helpful.
And if you're looking to get into the back end and do some of this Sky API coding, the Blackbaud community has a Sky API developer group, community group as well, which is super helpful. Any other questions, things we might be able to share? And I know I dropped it in the chat early on, but if anybody's looking to, get started or chat a little bit more about the tool behind this, Todd, would you mind putting up that last slide just as we're kind of wrapping this up here? If folks can reach out, Todd and I are also doing a session tomorrow. Thanks, Todd. Doing a session tomorrow as well on some of the what's called, Todd, lessons learned. Yes. That you kind of touched on here, and then some other ones that I'm doing as well, kind of going beyond advanced lists. So be sure to make sure that you check all this out. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I believe there's a survey that's maybe going to be sent out or shared. I'm not really sure what that looks like. But oh, there's perfect timing.
Yeah, that survey should have just launched for all the participants. So please make sure you fill that out. We really appreciate the feedback.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.